Hi everyone, good evening, and thank you for joining us back. So through the day, you must have gone through and heard a lot of sessions around credentialing. And taking that forward, so you must have picked up sessions on credentialing where we spoke about the digital evolution from paper credentials to digital credentials. Eventually, we had sessions around global perspectives on wallets, and then we had country use cases, which was headed by CDPI just some time back. But there is also an important segment when it comes to credentialing where we interact and engage with our partner ecosystem. And that's what this session is going to be about. How does MOSIP collaborate with the community? So there are two aspects that I would quickly like to highlight in just about a minute, and then we just jump into the panel discussion. One aspect is we have an offering of a wallet, which is a reference implementation called NG from MOSIP's perspective. Again, it is just a reference implementation where we have an opportunity for our partner ecosystem to integrate their components into the wallet. For instance, the SDKs for face verification and liveness, right? So that's one aspect where we call for collaborations with partner solutions, where we are seeking collaborations and contributions from partners. That is one aspect what we would like to cover during this panel discussion. And the other aspect is MOSIP being a platform, how have we integrated with the wallets available in the ecosystem, right? So MOSIP giving an offering of a reference wallet and also coexisting with the other wallets in the ecosystem. So we've had various integrations like the print service eKYC based and the standardized OpenID for VCI based protocol integration. So we would be talking about these aspects. I just wanted to put it up here visually so you could connect back to the discussions that we have shortly. So without much ado, I would like to invite our esteemed panelists on stage. We have our partners. We have Maarten from Sphereon, Jorge from Folio, Rahul Parthe from Tech5, Mohan Bommireddy from Digital Trustech, and Rajeev Debnath from NPrime. If you could take your seats this side, and I'll take the extreme corner. Yeah, just for technical reasons. Thank you. So let's just begin with, just wanted to welcome and thank you for being a part of this panel. And maybe if you could quickly introduce yourselves, and then we get started with the discussion. So yeah, Maarten, maybe you could start.
Thank you. Yeah. But it doesn't work. Oh yeah, it does. So Maarten Boender, one of the founders of Sphereon, focusing on digital credentials around verifiable credentials. And one of the things we've done in that ecosystem is build a wallet, also much like a reference wallet that we integrated with MOSIP.
Jorge del Prado, General Manager of Folio. We are a digital wallet. We are a consumer wallet used in more than 100 countries. And we also have a B2B part of the wallet and a B2G, and we integrate with MOSIP for that.
Hello. Okay. So I'm Rahul Parthe. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Tech5. So Tech5 has been part of the MOSIP ecosystem from capture to credential issuance. We have the ABIS that is integrated, and we have moved on to also consume the print services to issue a verifiable credential in a printed format, which is meant for offline printed version of a credential. Pretty interesting technology. Of course, we'll talk more about it, but that's about me.
Hi, late good afternoon. I am Mohan. I am founder CEO of Digital Trust Technologies Private Limited. As the name suggests, we are in the space of digital trust, and we enable digital trust in the digital ecosystems, right from digital onboarding, taking the foundational ID as a single source of truth, and all the way to authenticators, to ID wallets, to digital engagement services. We have built end-to-end trust services platform called MyTrust. And that's about us. I think the other details we can probably share during the course of time.
Hello everyone, myself Rajeev from NPrime. We are in this MOSIP ecosystem from last two to 3 years. We basically build SBI and providing management server solution to the countries. And very recently we integrated our SDK in ING. This SDK is all about its face SDK with liveness. So I will discuss about how this integration takes place in subsequent discussion.
Okay, thank you. So Rahul, maybe I'll start with you. You just mentioned about the print service-based integration that Tech5 has done with MOSIP. So if you could just elaborate on that a little bit more, and the support, what kind of credential format is being supported by the wallet, just maybe not specific to the integration, but by the wallet in general.
So one thing I would like to clarify, right? So to start with, whenever you have a credential and you have you have to find a way to present it. The typical traditional way of doing it is using a QR code in most of the cases. QR code has some fundamental limitations on how much information you can store in it. If you take a verifiable credential with biometric binding and you put a face in it, if you put other biometrics, it's going to be impossible for a QR code to hold that much information. So what we did is that we have a proprietary technology which has a larger capacity of storing credential information. So we take the VC that is generated by the MOSIP platform, we take that credential and then we convert it into a printable container that can be printed on any paper, plastic, whatever substrate. In fact, we are also able to pull that into our SSI compliant wallet, and then people are able to either present it on a screen or on a printed substrate. So whoever is on the other side has the conversion software, gets the standard verifiable credential, and then of course from there it's a standard-based verification. The last point I will do is that because we add the biometric information in it, which means we're able to add, in this case, face. Of course, we are able to add fingerprints and also voice. So one could, in theory or in reality, take a standard-based verifiable app, scan the presentation in an offline manner, and in an offline manner verify the credential, even if the presenter doesn't really have a wallet. Of course, if they have a wallet, it does a great job. So again, I mean, to sum it up, we have integrated the print service. We wait for the credential to be generated, we consume it, we print it, and then we disperse it, in whatever shape and form the end citizen can hold it. Yeah, it could be a physical or a wallet form. Okay.
So how do you think we could actually drive adoption of wallets then in general?
Well, that's a big philosophical question. I was just joking with somebody that you need to give me an hour. But the way we see it, of course, everybody has their opinions, and the way we are seeing it is that a user-centric wallet that enables not only identity, but other aspects of access control and payments is the only way I think that it will become popular. Of course, when we hear about MOSIP doing ING as a reference implementation, I personally have the belief that we should have many private sector companies come and build wallets. Of course, they should be standard compliant, interoperable. But the more use cases you bind with the identity, the more adaptable those wallets are going to be. And again, I mean, we keep demonstrating a wallet that we have, again, SSI based, allows you to initiate payments, authorize payments, open doors, present it to a cop, or basically do eKYC, selective disclosure, you name it. So again, I'm sure everybody has their opinion on how it will be. But personally, for everybody, I guess, you have a wallet that does a lot of things. I'm going to switch to that wallet, then use something that does one thing and it's a point solution.
Yeah,
a little bit to add maybe an insight to the adoption of wallets. So they're mostly positioned now as identity wallets. And people are sensitive, certainly in the West, for that, of being tracked by the government and things like that. So we've learned to position it more as a safe deposit box. where they can keep their important confidential information, their financial information, their identity information, but all kind of other information. And it's a much better positioning that has a lot less negative associations with it.
Yeah, thanks, Maarten. So maybe I'll just continue with you, Maarten. So Sphereon has integrated its wallet with MOSIP using the standardized OpenID for VCI protocol. So if you could elaborate on this protocol and share your views with us on leveraging standardization in the ecosystem. Yeah.
The standardization is also very important for adoption of these technologies around the world. And OpenID is, as a protocol, is probably used in most, if not every, proper identity or enterprise system. So it's a very short hop to go from that to OpenID for verifiable credentials. And like I said, if you have a safe deposit box where you keep all your important information that you receive from other parties, issuers, then OpenID for verifiable credential is an ideal protocol for the exchange of credentials between both the issuer as the relying party. So I think that that is a very good thing that most have adopted that standard, and it will make them compatible with many other systems, certainly in the EU. And outside, you see a lot more adoption for OpenID for verifiable credential as well.
Yeah. So just taking that forward, I did read something interesting about the social wallet initiative of Sphereon. So it is also being awarded and recognized. So if you could tell us something more about it and how does it foster inclusivity and accessibility?
Yeah, so the social wallet is a project that is funded by the EU. We basically, what we do is we have like the typical triangle of SSI, where you have the user, the issuer, and the relying parties. But in this case, they basically translate it to a sponsor who provides basically funds for a social welfare program for certain users who qualify for this, and service providers that deliver the goods or the services that they do. So we basically use self-sovereign identity and verifiable credentials around that. But on top of that, we've also added tokenization. So it allows basically people who are in minorities or weak situation to just go to shops and to services and pay with their phone like others would do with euros or dollars, but in this case with tokens. And so the inclusiveness is that they don't stand out by not paying or having papers or things like that. And the benefit for the sponsor and for the service provider is that there can be direct settlement based on the usage of the verifiable credential tokens that they
All right, very interesting. Thank you. Thanks for that, Maarten. So Jorge, maybe we go with you next. So if you could tell us, I think even you have adopted the same OpenID for VCI protocol, and Maarten has just highlighted the significance of conforming to standards. So in that respect, if you could elaborate on how collaborations facilitated by wallets like that between MOSIP and Folio, or any other wallet providers for that matter, can accelerate the adoption of digital identity in specific. Yeah.
Great question. I usually use an analogy to explain how we adopt the standards, right? So in the 17th century, in the Mediterranean area, there were a lot of traveling already. And travelers used to use a language that was a mix between Italian, Spanish, French, Greek, and Arabic. That was called the lingua franca, or the Frankish tongue. And that is still the language they use when you meet someone that doesn't share your mother tongue. Here is English, for example. You can use another language, but that language will help you to transact. When we met MOSIP, we had to choose our lingua franca, right? And we are a wallet that is established, so it's used in many countries, so we are not married with a standard. We need to use several standards. But we found our lingua franca with OpenID Connect for verifiable credentials. We both agreed that that protocol was good for us, and verifiable credential was also good for us. Answering about the collaboration part, I think there is a paradox in digital identity. So first world countries are behind in the adoption of digital identity. And one of the reasons is they want to do their own flavor of it. They want to define their own standard, and others adopt their standard. But developing countries cannot afford that. They need speed. They need to have something very quickly. And that's the reason MOSIP is being very successful in this ecosystem. So we need to collaborate together to reduce the time to market. So if we collaborate, countries will be able to deploy digital identity programs in months. And that is already happening as we had yesterday in some of the sessions. So collaboration is really key to give these citizens in these developing countries the right to have an identity to transact online.
Yeah, so collaboration is the key. I get that. Also, we've heard of Folio 2.0. So how do you think that's going to add to the service delivery chain at large?
Yeah, we recently redeveloped our whole platform, and our main driver was speed. That was the driver. So we were too slow adopting the standards. We were too slow adding use cases. So we decided to completely change the way we developed our wallet to be quicker, to be able to integrate with MOSIP, to be able to integrate with others. So that is what Folio brings here. Is Folio is already an established wallet. So we have already faced the challenges of dealing with consumers. That is difficult. Some countries fail on that. So they do all the technical part perfectly well, but then they create an app. They launch the app, it doesn't work, and they don't know why. Folio brings that know-how. So we can answer a lot of questions on that. So we can also, with that, reduce the cost and reduce the time. So we are talking again about the speed, about giving these countries the ability to have digital identity working and successfully working in months.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jorge. So maybe we move on to Mohan. You've got your mic. Yeah. So Digital Trustech has integrated with MOSIP via the eKYC-based integration. We've spoken about the standards and the various protocols. I think one important aspect is trust in the digital ecosystem. So if you could share your thoughts on the significance of trust in the digital ecosystem overall.
Yeah, actually this question helps me to articulate our thoughts on this subject well. Before going into any wallet or the standards or the protocols, we all understand that digital transformations are happening at such a rapid speed. They are now almost inevitable and irreversible. Along with that comes a serious problems in terms of trust. In the physical world, when two people are, let's say, interacting with each other, they know that they are one-to-one, they are meeting. Now, in the digital world, how do you assure and how do you ensure that these the people's identity is established before the transaction is enabled? So, when we say trust, it has 4 elements in our view. 1, ID. Somebody may manipulate the ID document itself. 2, identity. You as an individual, misrepresentation or impersonation. 3, there are sort of the host of documents that are issued both by the governments and the enterprises. How do you trust these documents in the digital world? 4, the transactions and the audit records or the evidences themselves, which are generated as part of lots and lots of citizen delivery systems. If we solve these 4 problems, we believe the digital ecosystem is trusted. It is an ecosystem, yes. Ecosystem is there are a lot of stakeholders. Typical stakeholders are government, enterprises, and the citizens. See, this enabling trust has to be comprehensive, which means all the 4 problems that we just highlighted have to be resolved in the ecosystem where governments, enterprises, and citizens play a role in citizen services delivery transactions. Digital ID wallet finds its use cases in majority of the interactions. So digital trust, if you call it digital trust as a technology or an ecosystem, has to blend seamlessly into the broader context of enabling trust in the digital ecosystems. Right? So these four problems solved in an ecosystem is the key to enable trust. We may get excited about the technologies, standards, protocols, but unless these four problems are comprehensively resolved in the ecosystem, again, trust is in deficit. So the broader context is how do we enable inclusive, comprehensive, and legally compliant trust in the digital ecosystems. The key to this is where MOSIP comes in. The key to this is the foundational ID, which is legal ID, and that should be the single source of truth for any citizen to be onboarded into the digital world, if we may call this process as creating a digital twin. So the onboarding method itself has to be with such a level of forensic evidence that this digital ID created is a true representative of the real world human being and nobody else. Now, there is the second element in the trust is which is your online identity. Digital identity is not equal to your online identity. We need to combine the digital identity with the online identity, which is your digital certificates or the PKI. Combined, for a lack of a better word, we call it digital ID. So digital ID as a phrase is used, interchangeably in so many contexts and occasions. So in this, we have integrated with MOSIP for both print format as well as biometric-based KYC. And that is our single source of truth. Using that, we onboard citizens into the digital world, and then we associate a digital certificate. So this is our digital ID. And then it is used for authenticating, accessing your services. It is used for signing your transactions, signing your contracts online. Here comes the wallet, which enables an individual to have his or her own control on the documents that are verifiable about the individual. The document could be several categories. One, the legal documents, like your foundational ID itself, your driving license. So they are legal documents. They are convenience documents, your insurance document. And there are these purely personal documents which are like your transcripts, educational qualification certificates. So any certificates or any document which is verifiable can be provisioned into the wallet and call yourself as a wallet. The entire enabling trust has to focus citizen as a nucleus, citizen as a central point. And this is where DPDP comes into the picture, data protection and data privacy laws. So we strongly believe that any verifications, any document verifications or the profile exchanges in the digital world about the individuals have to have a real-time consent so that the citizen is in control of the data that belongs to him or her. Well, without that, again, the adoptions are not going to be easy. Last point, adoption of, let's say, the wallet. It has to be only one mantra, which is use case, use case, and use case. And the use cases have to be innovated. It's not like one use case is prove. You have a wallet, you prove your age so that you can buy liquor. It neither starts there nor stops there. It has so many digital engagement use cases using the documents in the wallet, clubbed with the digital signature functionality. Wonderful use cases can be achieved, and this is what we believe in. Wallet nicely and seamlessly blends into this entire workflows concerning the citizen service delivery involving government, businesses, and citizens. So this is what we believe is the perspective that we bring onto the table.
Thank you. So my follow-up question was going to be in specific to wallet, but I think you already addressed that through your flow of thoughts. And maybe we'll just move on to the next speaker. So Rajeev, so we are aware that NPrime has integrated its in-house SDK with the NG wallet for face verification and liveness. So if you could tell us a little more on that and discuss how it presents an opportunity for the ecosystem at large, again, to sort of integrate its solutions.
Yeah. So let me talk about what are the challenges we experienced during this integration. So in NG app, basically there are two apps. One is verifier app, and another one is resident app. So what happens, as per the specification, there are two basic APIs are there. One is configure and other one is compare. So any SDK provider, what they have to do, the moment anyone calls configure, so whatever SDK, any basic SDK, what it does, whether it has any model or it has any particular library which has to load, so that has to happen in the configure. So as soon as that app gets loaded, that has to happen. And sometimes what happens, everything happens on the app itself. Sometimes it goes over the internet and loads some library. That also need to be taken care. And after that, compare. So compare basically takes two image, and after that, it shows the result. So definitely, liveness has to be included in this particular application. So, but in terms of POC, we just taken care this particular integration in the resident app. But however, in the field, when the final application comes in the production, at that time one can decide whether this particular face matching should happen in both the places, like in resident app or in verifier app, or it could be in one place, or maybe one can choose like liveness. With liveness will happen in one end, other end there will be no liveness. So that is the thing. So we use basically here Android Java, and for some SDKs require one wrapper need to be developed, that is NPM wrapper. So it may be sounding very technical for few of them, but that's what I am here for, just to discuss about this implementation of this particular NG app. See, one more thing I want to tell you, this NG app, whatever SDK is there, this is very much essential. See, when the moment anyone comes with the ID saying that I am the right person, just go do a verification. So whenever you do a data transfer, at that time, this particular verification happens. With the technology, this verification happens, that is fine. But the thing is, whatever face matching is there, that has to be part of this particular solution. That really value adds this particular wallet-based applications.
Thank you. So just one add-on point that I had was about you mentioning that you could have the verification on the resident app or the verifier app or both. I think that eventually ties down to the level of assurance that you need for the service that needs to be delivered. So I think that's an important observation to make. Just one last question. How do you think you could manage frauds and security aspects here as well when you talk about these integrations?
Yes, so the moment we say like we are adding this face verification, let's say your ID is taken care by, stolen and taken by someone else, and he has gone for this particular, let's say he wants to avail some services. So whether he is the right person or not, with the face verification one can identify whether this is absolutely right person or not. So fraud can be managed with this.
Okay, thank you.
May I add a little bit over there, right?
Sure, Rahul. Yeah.
So, by what you said, you're already establishing that biometric verification is essential to prove who they are. From when it comes to security, privacy, what you described it as probabilistic matching, which is basically taking two images and comparing, right? And it's good to solve the problem, but the next, let's say, stage of development would be where you're able to use something called cancelable and revocable biometrics, which are privacy preserving. So for example, if I get access to the model and some templates, I can actually reverse engineer and create a face presentation of you, a fake face presentation, and create a deep fake out of it, right? So adding multimodal biometrics, of course, enhances that. But again, I'm still talking about taking an original biometrics like a face, a fingerprint, a voice, what have you. But the real problem has to be solved at a different level. Now, I know there must be some discussions about matching in, homomorphic space, right? But that is also encrypted matching. The real holy grail is going to be when you have these cancelable, revocable biometrics that even if somebody gets hold of your biometrics, you should have the ability to reject it or cancel it. It's like resetting your password. So you should have the ability to reset your password. And I wouldn't then store the original biometrics and sign them in the credential, but I would sign and put a cancelable biometric in the credential, take the live biometric, create a hash, and then compare hashes. So long story short, I think we're getting there, and this is pretty much like a tokenization of a credit card. It's like tokenization of biometrics, like what Apple Pay does. And I'm sure, the EU wallet is going towards also trying to solve this problem in payment terms. How do you bind payments to biometrics? But I'll just wrap up saying, because I'm a biometric person and a guy, digital ID credentials tied with biometrics, of course, is essential at the end of the day.
So we do have a session lined up tomorrow on biometric threat modeling. So I think we would be really happy to have you there to share your thoughts. I just had one closing question for any of you, if you would like to add. What are your thoughts on wallet interoperability, right? So I know we have a lot of wallets here on stage.
Sorry, there's probably everybody has an opinion about it, but it's something that we're very passionate about. We have done lots of interop tests from day one and still doing that today. We're actually building a new self-certifying test suite together with other parties in the ecosystem, like OpenID Foundation and others, to basically be able for wallets to do self-certification tests, automated testing, to make sure that they're interoperable. Because without interoperability, it's going to fail.
I also have a thought. Yeah, I think when we agree on these standards and we all use, for example, verifiable credentials, we all need to agree that these credentials can move on. So we need to respect that the user stores the credential in your wallet. We will have our nice presentation of it, but they can move to your wallet or to other wallets, and they can be multiple wallets, and that's the only way this ecosystem will grow, right? So we don't want Google and Apple to win this war, right? So,
yeah, I agree. And there is more tactical and practical things you can do, and I tend to give this recommendation to countries. Instead of trying to build your own wallets, let the private sector come up with really good offerings. But what the country should do is invest in building standards bodies, certification agencies at a country level, right? So take example of STQs in India, where you're standardizing and certifying devices. I see some colleagues over here or friends who have they can help countries to establish certification agencies. It could be a paid service. So somebody who wants to say, my wallet is good for Ethiopia, you go pay some money, the standardization body will do the interoperability standardization compliance test, and then the country can say, I can reliably issue my credential into this wallet, and then they leave it to the citizens. Let them decide, if I'm going to use a leather wallet or a plastic wallet or an RFID protected wallet, of course, products, yeah. So that's my recommendation to the countries.
Yeah, so interoperability simply is achieved through standards. So whether it is X wallet or Y wallet, as long as they follow the ISO or Web3 verifiable credentials, and as long as the verification details are shared across all the wallet providers. For example, there is an issuer certificate, whoever is issuing the wallet. And if there are multiple issuers, how does all the verifiers share the credentials of these issuing authorities? As long as we make sure that these credentials are shared across and then available for the verifiers. Ultimately, the interoperability has to come into the picture in the context of somebody's wallet can be verified by somebody else's verifier. So for that, there are certain credentials that need to be shared across. So the same thing goes if we have to achieve the regional interoperability. Let's say South Africa interoperability. Same thing goes saying that, okay, how all these countries share the credentials of the issuers and thereby the verifiers. How these are exchanged, should it be synced into a blockchain and each country being a node in the blockchain network. So basically there are various models that the regions can come up with. So that's how interoperability can be achieved. Maybe I think I'll take 30 seconds more and then everybody seems to have said what they are offering. So let me also say that. We have built a platform called MyTrust. MyTrust is a platform which solves all the 4 problems that I have highlighted in a comprehensive and legally compliant manner, keeping citizen at the heart of the entire ecosystem. That's what we are, and then if anybody wants to experience this, which is this is integrated with MOSIP foundational ID. If anybody wants to experience, they can visit our booth. Thank you.
Yeah, this interoperability is very essential. Whatever other panelists discussed on this, we can achieve this by following some standards, like whether it is a ISO or maybe some other standard. Country has to decide and finalize it.
All right. So on that note, I think I would like to thank our panelists here and the audience for being patient enough. We wanted to take questions from the audience as well, but I think we are running out of time. Can we take a question or two? Or? All right. Okay, so our ecosystem is accessible, so you can get in touch with them one-on-one for any questions. All right. Thank you. Thank you.